My name is Fraser Flamond, and my dad was Leroy Flamond. He was born in Winnipeg. When he was just a little kid, his mom left, so it was just him and his brother with their father, and they moved to Edmonton. His father went to jail. That's when my dad turned to boxing to make a living. Since he was a young native kid, there wasn't a lot of opportunity. He started boxing in Edmonton and did well there and moved up, and he ended up moving to Portland, Oregon because they paid well for TV fights there. He was middleweight, so usually the lighter the weight, the earlier you retire. A heavyweight can. And then at the end of his boxing career, he moved to Calgary and boxed there. He boxed out of necessity, but he liked it. Calgary fighter, records TKO win, 8 straight for Flamond. Wilf Reeves was the middleweight champ, but my dad claims that right till the day he died that he got hit by a bunch of low blows and the ref didn't see it. One thing my dad did all the time as a middleweight with 5 heavyweights because he got paid more money. So some of his losses and his losses were heavyweights. Heavy boxer Leroy Flamond packs away his gear. My dad was involved in promoting and everything. So my dad was the promoter and put this together. He brought Muhammad Ali to Calgary. My dad was always searching to be self-employed. And then my dad bought the Motel in Strathmore from Margaret Paget in 1974. Earl McClay was my dad's heavyweight boxer. My dad managed him and trained him. He's also the guy who built most of the Motel. Yeah, well, actually he was still boxing when he built the first newer building, which is the west side. No, he pretty much built that whole building himself too. We had 2 different bricklayer guys and they're both German. And they're both named Heinz. There's a house and it had the office on one end. The office used to be half the width of the house, and then my dad later on had it expanded so it was the full width of the house, including the basement. They added on that. My mom would run the office and stuff during the day. She just liked to be there. Yeah, she was there right until 2017. She just backed everything that my dad wanted to do up, so I guess he came home one day and told her, well, we're moving to Strathmore. And that was that. She quit her job and everything. And in the early days, my dad still worked for the city of Calgary and ran the Motel, so he drove back and forth every day. Eventually, early 75, it started to make enough money that he quit his job. Well, he really worked on making it make money, and the Leroy's Drive-In restaurant was in front of the Motel office and house. And that place just did gangbusters in business. He ended up getting the tomato sauce recipe that Peter's Drive-In uses for their burgers. So our burgers were identical to Peter's Drive-In, actually. And lots of people around town here through the years worked there, cleaning rooms or doing whatever. It was a small town. Only so many jobs and things. Lots of them worked in the drive-in restaurant when they were teenagers, and now they're 60. But the Motel was always busy. We were the only place in town. I mean, there was the 2 old hotels downtown, the Strathmore Hotel and the King Eddie, but they were still like 1910 hotels that are, no bathrooms in the rooms or anything, and more like taverns than hotels. So we were the only one in town. It was just a neat time, whole different world and different place. There was less than 2,000 people here. I think it was 1,600 or 1,200 people. There wasn't a paved road in town, except for Main Street over here. So that restaurant was built in 1985. See, those are a bunch of old parties in the Leroy's restaurant. My dad ran it at first, and then eventually there was a guy named McSweeney, and he was a real good cook, and so they named it after him, and it was called McSweeney's. And eventually that kind of folded out. My dad also ran it as an Edo. At first it did pretty good because it was basically all these Japanese guys, but then you want to train a bunch of local kids to do it. It just never was the same, and he rented it to become the Little Village Cafe, and that was a hit for years. There was a bunch of steakhouses and stuff, and then Yeah, the last one has been that Oriental Grill until I sold it. There's the buckboard my dad owned. And these are all in the buckboard, which is the Strathmore Station now. It's the same building. Fargo Productions. They opened up their own like Calgary production office. Like, so yeah, the first guy is like the scout kind of. And then if you say yes, then the location manager guy takes over and then makes the deal with you how much money they'll pay and what they need and all that kind of stuff. MGM, Fargo, they told me right away it's going to be Billy Bob Thornton and all these other stars going to be there, and he's helping out the whole time. They tell me, oh, lock and open these doors, turn these lights on, and so on and so on, or we need this, we need that. They set up the day before, and then cast and crew just show up the next day. Like, yeah, most of the time it's just one day, but right from first thing in the morning until late at night. A week ahead, they were setting up, painting things, changing things. They rented the whole one side. Actually, we were running pretty full at that time still, with Oil Patch was still booming. And because they had pre-booked it, I had to actually, tell people to leave. He helped organize the Métis business mixers, they call them. And my dad and a couple other guys got together and started that.